for getting up early on a Friday and joining us.
Oh, yeah. It's a casual day.
Casual Friday?
Yeah, casual Friday.
Well, how casual can you be when you've got the Copperpoint logo?
Well, I'm wearing it for you.
Oh, well, thank you. No man's ever said that before. Well, tell us a little bit about you. Are you a fourth generation Arizona?
No, no, I'm not. I was actually born in Salamanca, New York, which is upstate New York. It's on the Seneca Indian Reservation, the only town in the United States that's actually on an Indian reservation.
Really? Yeah. Well, and so you migrated very far west?
Well, my father was in the Navy, stationed in California, and he wanted to move to California. So we packed up the 6 kids back in 1956. That was 6 kids in about 7 years. And the car broke down in Phoenix, so my dad said, "This is where we're staying." So,
this is good enough.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, tell us a little known fact about you.
Well, keeping with the Super Bowl theme, I used to work for the Mesa Tribune or the East Valley Tribune. I was the media critic and writer. And in 1996, when the Super Bowl was at Sun Devil Stadium, I got to sit in the NBC booth. It was the first time that that the networks ever put one camera on one player for the entire game. And that was Deion Sanders. So watching all those 32 screens, but there was one that kept focused on Deion the whole time.
Wow, why was that? Just he was prime time?
He was prime time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a little known fact. You were SCF Arizona,
Yeah.
and then there was a transition. Tell us a little bit about how that happened and why.
Sure. In 2010, the Arizona legislature decided that we should be a private company. Directed us to become privatized by 2013, January 1st, 2013. So in keeping with that, we decided by becoming a private company, we ought to also change our name to reflect that. So we did a pretty good search to find a name that would be conducive, keeping with Arizona, being copper, one of the 5 C's, but also because we privatized, we no longer had to follow the mandate that said we could only sell in Arizona. So we want to become a very large regional commercial mutual insurance company serving the entire region. And of course, probably the best symbol for the West are the Rocky Mountains. So we put copper and the mountains together, Copperpoint.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Makes sense. It's a great looking logo. Why is it important to emphasize that you're a mutual company and not just an insurance company?
Well, there's 3 kinds of insurance companies. There's government-run, sort of like the Affordable Care Act. There's mutual, and there's stock. And stock, you have to answer to your stockholders. You have to be looking to make money to make them happy. A mutual insurance company is owned by the policyholders. Therefore, we have to respond to the policyholders. And in fact, we're right now in our annual board election. So the members of Copperpoint, or the policyholders, are being asked to vote during the annual election.
Are you still the state fund?
No. Actually, when the state decided that we should privatize, they changed the law, and there's no longer a state fund. All the insurance all the companies in Arizona that can't get private insurance for workers' compensation, they're covered in what's called a risk pool that's managed by the Industrial Commission of Arizona.
Okay. So speaking of different kinds of insurance, when we think insurance, we think rates. Are the rates going to go up because now you've had a change?
Well, we hope not. We don't manage that. That's actually decided upon by the Department of Insurance in Arizona, and the Department of Insurance follows recommendations by a national organization that recommends from state to state what those rates should be. So whatever the Department of Insurance decides, we have to go along with that.
Great. So I think we might have time if anybody's got a question for Bruce. We've got our microphone man ready to sprint to anybody with a question.
Great.
Any insurance-related questions? If not, anything else you'd like to share with us?
Well, I know Jay Perry is here and will be up here in a little bit. And it's been a real pleasure. Copperpoint is working with the Super Bowl Committee on the Business Connect. I'm sure Jay will talk about that when she's up here. But it's really, really nice to be in an organization that really wants to be part of the community so much that we're always looking for ways. And that's why we're part of the chamber and part of the Super Bowl committee. So.
Well, we thank you so much for coming in and talking a little bit about Copperpoint. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a big round of applause for Mr. Bruce Trethewy? Yep.